Old car leases get a second life with new owners. Details up next on Comcast Newsmakers.
Bringing you the news and information you need from the people making a difference. This is Comcast Newsmakers.
Hi, welcome back to the show, everyone. The subprime mortgage crisis and resulting economic slowdown are leaving some drivers with car leases they can no longer afford. Here to discuss a new option for passing those leases on is this hour's newsmaker, John Sternal, Vice President for Marketing Communications at LeaseTrader.com. And thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is a newer concept, isn't it? It hasn't been around for very long.
It hasn't been around for very long.
And what's your thought process here?
Well, the bottom line is this. You know, if you're in a car lease that you either can no longer afford, or even if you're tired of it and you want or need something different that's going to fit your updated driving needs, you know, now there's this marketplace available online that lets you literally find somebody else to take over the remaining portion of your car lease.
So how does this work? You go to say I want to really trade in my car lease, and you put it in a database.
Yeah, kind of. It's not really trading in. You're outright getting out of your car lease. You'll come to us, and you can post your vehicle online at our website. And you know, there are on the other end, there are shoppers who are looking for short-term leases. And once they find your car, and that's the car that they are interested in, and we put the two parties together and they negotiate a deal.
So they take over the exact terms of the lease.
Yeah, they never renegotiate the contract. The contract is what it is, and that stands through the end of the contract. So
and they pay the same amount of money you're paying.
They do.
At that time.
One thing, you know, there's always an option for the two parties to negotiate, and what I mean by that is, you know, there's different fees involved for using the service, which on both sides they amount to what's basically less than one car payment. But you know, the buyer in this case can ask the seller of the lease to kind of pick up his fees, or maybe put more equity into the car before the car changes hands. So you could still do a little bit of a negotiation.
How many cars do you have on your database now?
Right now we have between 20,000 and 25,000 cars in the
So
database.
this is all over the country?
It is nationwide, definitely. Here in South Florida, this is probably our third most popular market.
And you're looking for cars locally. You're not looking for cars from Connecticut or someplace like that, right?
You know, the first option is definitely to try and find a car in your own backyard, you know, here in South Florida. But we have a lot of customers that make cross-country transfers. That's not uncommon at all.
What do the leasing companies think about this when you're transferring people who are paying for this lease?
It's really a win-win-win situation, because it's winning for the buyer and the seller, but it's also a win for the leasing company, because especially for a car dealer, you think what we're basically doing is we're expediting the car shopping process. So if you've got a customer that's currently leasing a vehicle and they want out of that car because they need a bigger car, they need a smaller car, you know, instead of forcing that customer to live out their remaining car lease, now there's a way for them to get out, and they turn around and, you know, next day they're shopping for another car.
I know that in leasing you have to drive your car X number of miles. If you go over that mileage, then you have to pay extra. Does that apply when you're transferring the lease as well?
It certainly does. Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, you definitely want to pay attention to all the details of the cars that are listed on the site. Some cars...
So if you're close to the end of that prescribed mileage, beware.
But see, that's why it's great, because everybody's needs are different. You've got somebody who has put a lot of miles on their car, but they only have maybe 6 months remaining, and the person who wants to take it over, you know, they can negotiate, maybe have the first person buy more equity into the car. They don't really need to drive it all that much. They just need a car for 5 or 6 months. So everybody's situation is different and unique.
And how many cars you got there? 60,000?
On the site, about 25,000.
25,000.
Yeah.
So you get a selection, and you kind of like go by model and make and year and everything like that, of the exact car you want, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. This hour's newsmaker, John Sternal, discussing a new service, transferring auto leases between owners. I'm Spiro Canton. Thank you for joining us.